FM are also available countrywide on the free-to-air Signet digital TV platform, or log on to www.kbc.co.ke for live streaming, or download the KBC Online app on Google Play Store. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, ensuring learning no matter what.
Well, a very good evening to you. You are just in time for Channel 1 News Hour. We have details of what is coming up, given that tomorrow we expect the Senate to be holding a special sitting, and the agenda is to determine the political future of Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. We have details of that coming up shortly on Channel 1 News Hour. Let's also focus on other stories that are shaping the news tonight in the highlights. Decision time. Msambweni by-elections marred by claims of voter bribery amid low turnout in various polling stations.
Discussions, taking place or going on to ensure that the relationships are normalized for normal socioeconomic, activities to be able to continue as they were before.
Diplomatic spate. Somalia kicks out Kenya's ambassador in Somalia as diplomatic standoff deepens. And building allies. Somaliland and Kenya agreed to a 10-point plan to improve trade, security, air transport, among others. Well, Lucy Mwaura is our sign language interpreter, and my name is Catherine Achieng. Welcome to the program. Let's begin with the very latest from the mini polls that were held today, and claims of voter bribery, intimidation and arrests characterized Tuesday's by-election in Msambweni constituency. Former Machakos Senator Johnston Muthama was arrested and detained by police officers after chaos erupted at the Jomo Kenyatta Primary School polling station. And as Michael Mwandiga now reports, widening political rifts in the coast region was in full display as politicians accused each other of applying dirty tricks in the race to succeed the late Suleiman Dori. Here are the details. But let's focus on the by-elections in other counties where there was low voter turnout recorded as residents cast their ballots in 4 county ward by-elections amid strict adherence to COVID-19 containment protocols. Voters were required to wash their hands and cover their faces with masks before gaining entry into polling stations in Gaturu Ward, Kahawa Wendani, Kisumu North and Dabaso Ward in Kilifi County. Gladys Mungai gives us the perspective.
Voting began at 6 a.m. in by-elections in counties of Kisumu, Nairobi, Murang'a and Kilifi. In Kiambu, Kahawa and Wendani, the exercise was delayed by more than an hour amid lower voter turnout.
I'm willing to work with the people of Kawendani. I'm willing to work with them without tribalism, without favorism, and I know I'm a humble leader, and if they test me this 1.5, I'm going to do a good job for them.
Nimepiga kura injakuwa na tatizo yoyote, tunatarajia MCA mwenye tunataka akuwe MCA wa Kahawa.
Nilipiga kura yangu saa 4 na vile mambo inaendelea, tunaona inaendelea vizuri, natarajia ushindi.
Shughuli imekuwa mzuri, umeona kuja kuwa na furugu, watu wamepiga kura kwa amani, kumekuwa na utulivu, security pia imekuwa mzuri, so naona mambo itakuwa sawa.
Kwa saa hii tumepiga kura, naona maendeleo nini inaendelea mzuri, watu tumejaja, isipokuwa tumechelewa kidogo, lakini wangetuongezea muda kidogo, naona maneno sio mbaya.
The by-election in Dabaso in Kilifi County kicked off with claims of bribery and intimidation. Chaos almost broke out when police officers dispersed a crowd that had gathered outside the polling center moments after Kilifi North Member of Parliament Owen Baya cast his vote. The Kilifi North MP accusing the Orange Democratic Movement Party of attempting to intimidate voters in the strongholds of the Movement for Growth and Development Party candidate Emmanuel Changawa.
Na wanajaribu kuhakikisha kwamba hizi kura hazipigwi. Kuna incidences ambazo mimi nimepata kwamba wanazuia watu kufika kwa vituo, especially vile vituo ambavyo hawana sio strongholds zao. Wanaharas watu, wako na Land Cruiser 4 around ambazo zimebeba guns kutoka Nairobi. Na hawa jamaa wanaharas na kuintimidate watu. Nimesikia pale CRS, wameenda pale CRS, wamevamia duka pale, wakabeba chakula, wakabeba kila kitu ndani ya hiyo duka, kwa sababu wanasema huyo mwenye hiyo duka ni mfuasi wa mgombea mpinzani wao.
Social distancing, face masks and hand washing was evident as voters made their way to cast their ballots. In Gaturi Ward, the returning officer Faith Mugo dismissed claims by some candidates that there were cases of voter bribery.
Tunaomba wale watu ambao wanapinga ama wanapiga vijana ambao wanajaribu kuinuka katika uongozi, wawashikilie na wawapatie ile support wanahitaji.
Vile tumeanzia vizuri, hata kama siku nimefika, kuna wengine walikuwa wameanza na wameendelea kupiga kula kulingana na vile mtu alikuwa anajisikia kufanya. Nafikiri hapa kwa sababu ni nyumbani, naona watu wote hata wananifurahia wakiniona hivi.
The Kahawa Wendani seat has attracted over 10 candidates from the Jubilee Party, People's Empowerment Party, Maendeleo Chapchap, Party of National Unity, and the independent candidates. For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mongai.
And now Kenya and Somaliland have agreed on a raft of issues following the conclusion of a 2-day visit by Somaliland President Musa Bihi Abdi. In a joint communique, the two leaders agreed to, among others, open a consulate in Hargeisa, operationalize direct flights from Kenya to Somaliland, as well as obtain a visa on arrival to Somaliland in the next 3 months. Yusuf Farah with the details of the bilateral agreements by the two nations.
Somaliland President concluded his 2-day visit in Kenya, in which the two leaders discussed, among others, security, trade and investment, and war on terrorism. In a 10-point joint communique, the two leaders agreed to have Kenyan Airlines commence direct flights to Hargeisa, senior officials and predetermined list apply for an e-visa and receive the visa on arrival to Somaliland within the next 3 months. It was also agreed senior government officials from both countries agree on details and timelines for enhancing technical cooperation, including implementing exchange programs for students, nurses and other professions. They also to look into ways to deepen existing cordial people-to-people relations to enhance security, cooperating and information sharing to combat terrorism, cybercrimes and organized transitional crimes. Earlier, President Uhuru Kenyatta rallied women grassroots leaders to support amendments to the Constitution. The President was officiating the Maendeleo ya Wanawake Organization annual general meeting.
Your organization has grown to become a bastion of civil society, advocating, especially at the grassroots level, initiatives that have tremendously changed our women's lives for the better.
He pointed out that the proposed constitutional amendment bill 2026 to promote affirmative action and ensure more opportunities for women in leadership.
Women also gain directly and indirectly through the gains secured for the youth, for persons with disabilities, for enhanced health care and economic opportunities, and for a more stable and peaceful electoral system.
Your Excellency, in the last 3 years, I'm happy to inform you, sir, I've witnessed strengthening of the institution in terms of effective governance from better service delivery to the members.
Yusuf Farr, Channel 1 News.
And now Kenya has been given 7 days to withdraw all its diplomats from Somalia amid growing diplomatic tensions between Nairobi and Mogadishu. The federal government of Somalia says it has cut diplomatic ties with Kenya, accusing Nairobi of meddling in its internal affairs. The announcement comes even as government spokesperson Cyrus Oguna said the two countries will continue to pursue amicable solutions to the ensuing diplomatic row.
The federal government of Somalia has cut diplomatic ties with Kenya. Somalia says it has recalled all its diplomats from Nairobi and given Kenyan diplomats in Mogadishu 7 days to leave the country. The announcement was made after Somalia submitted a letter of protest against Kenya to Sudanese Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, who is also the chair of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD. But in a rejoinder, Kenya government spokesperson Cyrus Oguna said there were ongoing efforts to restore Kenya's relationship with Mogadishu as the neighbors need each other.
Effort must be put in place to ensure that it is resolved. And as of now, certainly there are, discussions, taking place or going on to ensure that the relationships are normalized for normal socioeconomic, activities to be able to continue as they were before. So there is a committee that has been put in place to be able to look at those issues that are, coming in between these two neighboring countries that have got a lot of, history between the two of them to be addressed.
Somalia recently accused Kenya of meddling in its internal affairs. The latest move by Mogadishu comes just hours after President Uhuru Kenyatta hosted the president of self-declared Republic of Somaliland, Musa Bihi. Somaliland declared independence from Somalia in 1991.
And now the fate of Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko now lies squarely in the hands of the Senate, which is expected to deliberate an impeachment motion against him tomorrow. This comes after Justice Matthew Nduma declared he will give a ruling on Wednesday afternoon on whether Sonko should answer to summons by the Senate. Meanwhile, Sonko is expected to appear before the Senate in the morning hours to defend himself in the plenary. Sarafina Robi with the details of the complicated matrix for the flamboyant governor.
The political future of the Nairobi governor now lies in the hands of senators who on Wednesday at 9 a.m. will begin to hear an impeachment motion against him in plenary. Attempts by his lawyers to stop the Senate from probing his impeachment motion failed to materialize after the court scheduled the ruling for 3 p.m. while he is expected in the Senate during the morning hours. It's now a game of wait and see if he'll survive the political arcs in the Senate. Meanwhile, the hearing of a case involving former Tetu Member of Parliament Ndongo Githenji and 6 others kicked off on Tuesday afternoon before Chief Magistrate Martha Mutuku. They are facing charges of creating disturbance, assault, causing bodily harm and malicious damage to a property at Kihingo Village, Waridi Gardens in Kitsuru's Nairobi. The complainant Kisor Kuman Dhanji Varsani was on the witness stand. And the court has directed the Council of Governors and the Cabinet Secretary Health to file and serve KMPDU responses by Friday in the case in which KMPDU wants the CBA honored. Justice Monica Mbaru ordered the hearing to continue on the 22nd of December. Finally, a 24-year-old lady from Nyahururu, Priscilla Mombimbogo, has vowed to move to court to pursue succession for the welfare of her twins, whose father was the late Presbyterian Church of East African Nyahururu Parish Minister, Dr. Reverend Fred Kameru Kariuki. This is after Senior Resident Magistrate James Wanyanga lifted an injunction stopping his burial, granting the family a go-ahead, but directed that Mbogo and her children be allowed to attend. The court further ordered that the family of the late Nyahururu Parish Minister continue maintaining the twins, just like Reverend Kariuki did. The matter is scheduled to be revisited in court on December the 22nd, 2020. For Channel 1 News, I'm Sarafina Robi.
And now the constitution review process under BBI seeks to reintroduce the office of the Prime Minister, who will be the leader of government business in the National Assembly. The Prime Minister will replace the leader of majority, but will yield extra powers to supervise ministers. Tonight on the constitution review, our political reporter Kevin Washira highlights Part 2A of the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020.
The Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 seeks to insert new Part 2A in the Constitution, whose Article 151A will return the office of Prime Minister. The Prime Minister shall be appointed by the President and shall oversee the legislative agenda in the National Assembly on behalf of government. The Prime Minister shall supervise the execution of functions of ministries and government departments. The Premier will also chair Cabinet Committee meetings as assigned by the President. His or her appointment shall be done within 7 days after the President is sworn in. A new Article 151B states a person is eligible to be appointed Prime Minister if the person is an elected member of the National Assembly and comes from the largest party by representation. The President's nominee for Prime Minister must be confirmed by more than half of the MPs through a vote. If the nominee is rejected by the National Assembly, the largest party shall designate another member to be the leader. The office of Prime Minister shall become vacant if the holder is dismissed by President, ceases to be a member of National Assembly, resigns from office, or is impeached. A member of the House, supported by at least 1/4 of all members, may propose a motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister. If half of the membership of the National Assembly supports the motion, the Prime Minister shall cease to hold office. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
Well, that story by Kevin Washira brings us to our first break on Channel 1 News Hour. Don't go too far. We return with lots of news for you, including business and sports.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Enjoy the magic of Christmas with Coca-Cola.
On the next episode of
Umevalia maridadi kweli kweli. Na shida yako hii mvipi wewe?
Sina shida tena. Shida zangu zote naziambia kwa heri.
Latifa, kwani umeshinda mamilioni?
Hii ni zaidi ya mamilioni nakwambia. Mpenzi wangu wa moyo yuaje kunichukua papa hapa. Twenda zetu ng'ambo. Sikiza. Mwambie Mr. Rocks niko hapa, aje nichukue.
Mimi hapa Mr. Rocks. Mwenyewe.
Hivi nikawa nachanganyikiwa. Sikuelewi.
Usichanganyikiwe maana.
Kikulacho jamani.
Welcome back. If you're joining us, you're watching Channel 1 News Hour. Now let's focus on the latest update on COVID-19, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission says it has finalized investigations into the loss of billions of shillings at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. EACC Chairperson Eliud Wabukala says the commission has handed over the files to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution for action. Wabukala spoke on a day the country recorded an increase in the number of COVID-19 infections.
In September, a special audit by the Auditor General revealed that Kenya lost 2.3 billion shillings in the COVID-19 items procurement scandal at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. Since then, investigative agencies have moved in to probe the matter. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission says it has handed over evidence to the Director of Public Prosecution after completion of the first phase of its probe into the alleged scandal.
We could not go for all of them at Agosto. We have a phased out procedure system that we finish this, then we go to the next until we finish. Everybody who was involved will definitely give account of what we did. But we have also recommended systems review of KEMSA, because they cannot afford to lose all this if they had a system that is basically able to prevent those kind of loopholes.
KEMSA has in the recent months been castigated for its poor handling of billions of shillings meant to fight the coronavirus pandemic. On Tuesday, Kenya recorded 404 new coronavirus cases from 4,878 samples tested, pushing the total caseload to 92,459. The new cases translate into a positivity rate of 8.3%. The Ministry of Health also announcing that 527 patients had recovered both from the home-based care program and in various hospitals across the country. The total number of recoveries has now risen to 73,979, while that of fatalities rose to 1,604 after 11 more patients succumbed to the disease. The Ministry of Health says 871 patients are currently admitted in various hospitals, while 6,284 are recuperating under the home-based isolation and care. 46 patients are in the intensive care unit and another 11 are in the high dependency unit. The latest statistics come in even as the government says it has put in place mechanisms to ensure strict adherence to COVID-19 containment measures when schools reopen in January 2021.
The provision of desks in schools to be able to achieve an element or a degree of social distancing. So that program is going on very well, and the government is full control of that program. But it must be hand washing stations in every school. That is something that the government will not be able to compromise on.
Meanwhile, Chief Officer in charge of health in the Nairobi Metropolitan Service, Ouma Oluga, has called on striking healthcare workers to resume work as the government seeks ways of addressing their grievances.
Of course, there is a lot of effort that is being put under the leadership of the Ministry of Labour to address all issues. I think their leaders should confirm to you that they have been attending meetings at the Ministry of Labour, because I have been part of those meetings myself, and it is not therefore not true that they have been ignored.
Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
All right, let's now circle back to our earlier story on the Msambweni by-elections, where claims of voter bribery, intimidation and arrest characterized the poll in Msambweni constituency. Former Machakos Senator Johnston Muthama was arrested and detained by police officers after chaos erupted at the Jomo Kenyatta Primary School polling station. And as Michael Mwandiga reports, widening political rifts in the coast region was in full display as politicians accused each other of applying dirty tricks in the race to succeed the late Suleiman Dori.
It was a day full of political drama and pockets of chaos in Msambweni constituency as residents cast their ballot to elect a new MP. Simmering tension between political leaders in the region played out amid accusations of voter bribery and intimidation. Former Machakos Senator Johnston Muthama will however find himself on the wrong side of the law after chaos erupted at Jomo Kenyatta Primary School. More drama was witnessed at Muroni Primary School in Ukunda Township when verbal exchange between area politicians almost degenerated into physical altercation. Voting in the Msambweni parliamentary by-election began at 6 a.m. in the 219 polling stations spread out across the constituency. ODM's Omar Boga cast his vote at 8 a.m. at the Jogo Grounds polling station in Ukunda Township, while his main rival Faisal Badar voted at 10:30 a.m. at Gazi Primary School polling station. Hamisi Mwakaoje voted at Milalani Primary School.
Najua leo ni Jumanne, wengine wameenda kazi sokoni, lakini natumai kwamba numbers zitakuwa mzuri, lakini nimefurahi process iko fast.
Mimi nataka nisisitize sana huu uchaguzi
tunaomba uwe wa amani. Kwa sababu sisi, huu mji ni wetu sisi, na kutakuwa na maisha baada ya leo. Kwa hiyo sitaki tufanye mambo kuanzia kesho tuje tujute kama watu wa Msambweni.
Mimi nataka wapigaji kura wapige kura kwa amani na waende kwa amani, na singependa any chaos makers watengeze chaos in any of the polling stations, because kuna rumors kuwa kuna watu right now, kuna viongozi wengine ambao wanataka kuconfuse results.
The by-election, which comes at a time Kenya is battling the coronavirus pandemic, saw IBC deploy strict containment measures, which included the wearing of face masks. The Msambweni parliamentary seat fell vacant following the death of the late MP Suleiman Dori. Counting of ballots began at the close of the voting exercise, with the results expected in a couple of hours. Despite the heated campaigns prior to the by-elections, come the material day, there has been a low voter turnout, something which has left election observers wondering what could have transpired. Reporting for Channel 1 News from Ukunda in Msambweni constituency, I'm Michael Mondiga.
Of course, we'll be keeping tabs on that, on the outcome of that particular by-election in Msambweni. Now we move over to Embu, where drama ensued at the level 5 hospital mortuary after a woman showed up to claim the body of a man she alleged was her husband, to the shock of the deceased man's wife and his family. The 2-hour scuffle delayed the release of the body, creating confusion as the woman, identified as Mbide, claimed the deceased Joe Kialo was her husband.
The final journey of the late Joe Kialo would attract drama. Residents here gathering in small groups and following the events quietly. On the day of his burial, another woman identified as Mbide showed up and announced claiming to have sired a child with Kialo. She was armed with what she termed as evidence: the deceased identification card, NHIF card, and other identification documents. His wife, with the backing of her brothers, was not ready to proceed with the release of the late Kialo's body until all the documents in possession of the other woman were handed over to her.
Huyu anasema alikuwa bibi yake, anamuita ango. Sasa sinjui kusema ni mbwana yake, sinjui wanaingililiana wapi.
Daisy Karimi, a friend to the one thought to be the legal wife of the deceased, told the press she was shocked by the claim, since she had lived with Mercy and the deceased for over 10 years in the same neighborhood with no knowledge of the existence of another woman.
Tokesa kuwa yeye ni pipi yake, ni alikuwa na kitambulisho yake, kandi ya NHIF, na hizi documents za karapu, kunasemekana alikuwa na karapu mahali, lakini pipi yake hakuwa anajua huyu ango yake ni alikuwa nazo.
The family of the deceased declined to comment after the two parties agreed to proceed with the burial and later sort out the matter. The funeral procession proceeded to Chuso in Mwingi, where the deceased, who had been operating a butchery in Embu town, would be laid to rest. Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 News.
Now, a Building Bridges Initiative meeting meant to popularize the document in Nyeri County was scuttled briefly after two rival KANU factions tried to take control of the meeting. The two groups disrupted the meeting, in which KANU chairperson Gideon Moi was drumming up support for the constitutional amendment.
Golden Gates Hotel in Nyeri County. Efforts to popularize the Building Bridges initiative in Mount Kenya region in the Nyeri County, led by KANU chairman Gideon Moi. Unfortunately, the meeting was interrupted by two KANU rival groups before it began. The meeting was disrupted at midday before the arrival of Moi, where two KANU rival groups tried to control the forum, but security officers were swift to stop their efforts. Moi was accompanied by a section of Nyeri leaders led by Senator Ephraim Maina, MPs Kanini Kega and Gishuki Mogambi, among other Mount Kenya region leaders. Elsewhere, Council of Governors Chairman Wycliffe Oparanya has urged the business community to support the Building Bridges initiative, saying it will end delays in paying suppliers and contractors and offer solutions to huge pending bills, as contractors and suppliers will be paid within 30 days of supply.
We cannot be getting services and goods from the public
or from the suppliers, and we don't pay them. That's a crime. You can see even in the BPI, now they have come with suppliers bill, where it will be mandatory that you must pay within 30 days.
Speaking during a financial management training for senior county staff at a hotel in Kakamega, Governor Oparanya regretted that some contractors and suppliers were shying away from doing business with counties because counties delayed the payments.
I've met quite a number of people, suppliers, contractors, who say nowadays I don't deal with counties. There are only specific counties I can deal with, but other counties you can be auctioned. Some people have been auctioned, they have lost their valuable properties because they are not being paid.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troinjue.
And now the government has embarked on preparing a national career guidance and counseling policy aimed at developing and implementing existing programs. The policy is geared towards assisting university students establish and achieve their education, career and personal goals.
The government is set to put in place mechanisms to devise a national career guidance and counseling policy that will benefit university students in establishing and achieving their education, career and personal goals. Speaking at the opening of a stakeholders workshop in Nairobi, State Department for University Education and Research Principal Secretary Ambassador Simon Abukwesi noted that there has been a mismatch of training and work due to proper career guidance in the universities.
Global arena, it is quite clear that the world is going through tremendous technological advancements led by ICT in addition to socioeconomic changes, realignment of development partners, and general competition for resources. We are in competition with other nations, and we cannot assume that we are in the right place if we are not making progress in development of human capacity to sustain our competitiveness, because everybody is working to improve, to get resources that are becoming limited with each passing day.
Ambassador Nabukwesi said if implemented, the career guidance and counseling policy will aid university students in making right choices that will improve their employability and provide them with competitive edge.
With knowledge, need to understand their potential, need to know the opportunities availed to them, and need to work hard so that they contribute to national development.
The PS said young people should make informed choices that match their career paths, adding that the document will transform the mindset of the youth. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
And now pressure is mounting on the government to embrace dialogue with the health workers as the strike entered its 9th day today. KSS MP Mishra Swarup is urging both parties in the dispute to drop their hardline positions and embrace dialogue. More details in the county briefs.
KSS MP wading into the debate has urged the government to consider setting up a health commission as proposed to end the perennial strikes, even as he called for a speedy resolution to the current stalemate.
Safety to their own life and own health. There are two things here. If we don't take care healthcare providers' safety, they will be the ambassador of the virus before the virus itself, and they can cause chaos to the healthy population of the nation. So that is a must.
Separately, the government has been challenged to find lasting solutions to the surging numbers of street children in major towns in the country. Agnes Kaguri, a philanthropist, noted the plight of the street children needs to be continuously highlighted in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, tension remains high along the West Pokot and Elgeyo-Marakwet border after 2 students were shot by suspected bandits at Tilakai village, Pokot Central Sub-County. They were allegedly ambushed by 3 armed men en route to their houses from the nearby shopping center.
Ofisi ya Rais kiongozwa na CS Matiang'i na PS Dr. Kipitu na ofisa mzuri anaitwa Natembea na OCS yuko hapa na county commissioners ya West Pokot na Elgeyo-Marakwet. Tunataka kambi 3 kabla ya Christmas iwekwe secretary area mahali mbada landslide boda ya Elgeyo Marakwet baada ya Marakwet na Pokot baada mlima mahali naitwa Jemsto mahali pepo naishi iwekwe kambi nyingine.
Elsewhere, as Christmas beckons, a paint company has rolled out a 12-day Christmas celebration that will see them donate food to over 1,000 less fortunate children in 12 homes within Nairobi County.
We really appreciate your presence, and we really appreciate all the gifts you've brought. Value to us because these boys have to be fed every day from Monday to Sunday. And it's only through the cooperation of many people that we can make sure these boys grow up healthy and happy.
And in Migori County, Keith, Brian and Maxwell Okoth from Kanga High School were crowned Young Scientists for the year for the best innovation at the 2020 Young Scientists Kenya National Science and Technology Exhibition. Their innovation, Smart Vigilance System, seeks to help the government solve burglary and illegal intrusions encountered by members of the society.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mlitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua free. Shilingi mbili unaweza nunua micro. Shilingi tano unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Two lionesses struggle to cohabit.
Because I'm not going to stand here and be compared to some...
Hey, Nancy, don't try me.
As the coastal vacation brings Nancy and Joe closer.
Nancy, you are full of surprises. What would you like me to do for you this morning?
Or will it be?
Now, can you give us some space?
No. He? Ni usherati.
Watch your mouth, Mother Teresa.
Or what?
This game is that you and Nancy are playing.
Na nyinyi mmekuwa akina nani kuingilia mambo ya wazazi wenu?
Stringed, making a comeback. Hotter.
Just gonna stand there and stare at us? How do you think things will end up here?
This is a conversation between your father and I.
Sometimes it would be good if you would just stand your ground.
Wait, Mtoto, wait. What happens between me and Mama Paul is none of your business.
Bolder.
You know Mama Paul is leaving you.
So what?
What? I'm done being your puppet and dancing to your tune and manipulation. I called the clients and told them that your contract is done.
Only on KBC Channel 1. Fridays at 8:30 p.m.
Well, let's now talk business, and government will spend 3 billion shillings in battling the second wave of a locust invasion. The funds will be spent on 10 counties that have been severely affected by the invasive pests. Government spokesperson Cyrus Oguna says the government has so far procured and supplied over 200,000 litres of pesticides to the 10 affected counties.
For the last 1 year, the Horn of Africa has been battling with two life-threatening crises: the COVID-19 pandemic and the locust invasion. Though the COVID-19 has been more devastating, the locust invasion is also proving to be a thorn in the flesh of the region's food security. Kenya has been struggling to contain the invasive pest that last year ravaged vegetation in the counties of Samburu, Turkana, Laikipia, Isiolo, Baringo and Elgeyo Marakwet. Though success has been registered in controlling the locust, a new wave is giving the government sleepless nights.
These locusts have the potential to destroy farmlands and even in a form of green vegetation. If left unchecked in our country, the locusts have the potential to undermine our food security.
Government spokesperson Colonel Cyrus Oguna says the government has so far deployed 4 aircraft in the affected counties to help battle the spread of the pests. Last month, a report by the Food and Agriculture Organization warned that many of the swarms will migrate to the south of Somalia and southern Ethiopia, reaching northern Kenya by mid-December.
And therefore, as government, we are keenly monitoring the situation and have deployed necessary interventions to limit further infestation and spread to neighboring counties. The plan is to contain and destroy them where they currently are, to limit them from invading, other neighboring countries to those that I have already mentioned.
So far, the government has trained 500 personnel from the National Youth Service to help deal with the swarms. The Ministry of Agriculture has also reported that during the first invasion, affected counties had an average of 77% of their crops severely damaged by the swarm, with an overall 70% of the free-range grazing lands affected. O'Brien came in for Business News Hour.
And now the government will in the next 1 year complete the construction of various irrigation projects around the country at a cost of 2.5 billion shillings to boost food production in the counties. The projects are part of 22 irrigation projects being implemented by the National Irrigation Authority in counties that receive minimal rains. Water and Irrigation Principal Secretary Joseph Irungu said farmers have already been sponsored to undergo training on the best farming practices so as to equip them with skills and know types of crops to farm through the irrigation process.
The National Irrigation Authority estimates that when complete, 25% of the 1.9 million acres of land earmarked for irrigation nationally will double food production and empower farmers economically. To achieve this, the government reckons that capacity building farmers and auditing ongoing projects will make sure that all systems and skills needed for use of new schemes will be ready.
So these are projects that are worth 2.5 billion Kenya shillings in Murang'a County only. And these are basically meant to assist the farmers.
Water Irrigation Principal Secretary Joseph Irungu said the projects will boost farming of horticultural and subsistence food crops, adding that the income from farm produce will improve the economy of the country.
Irrigation is a very good area for Murang'a to get into, because this area is flat, and once we get water, you can see the kind of crops that we have even on this farm.
He added that the government is also doing other water projects to increase domestic water connections.
So we are not only getting them domestic water, we are also getting them water for irrigation. Irrigation is a very good area for Murang'a to get into.
The Ministry of Water and Irrigation puts a water connection in the country at 57% in 2013, but reports that currently the connections have increased to 65%. However, this is threatened by what it terms as cartels and periodic vandalism of water infrastructure.
If anybody caught vandalizing water installations, that is already a criminal offense of the highest order, because these are now security installations. So my call is to security people, to sensitize the people.
Some of the irrigation projects being implemented include Miresho, Murika, Nyanjege, Mirira, Nginda, and Mukurwe wa Nyagadanga. On the Northern Water Collector Tunnel, the PS said the project is near completion as the process of acquiring land to lay pipes from Gedhu Water Treatment in Gatanga Sub-County to the Gigiri Storage Tank in Nairobi is ongoing. Alan Auko, Channel 1 Business.
Now, Kenya attracted foreign investments worth 250 billion shillings in 2019, where China was the top investor in the country. Foreign direct investments to Kenya were mainly directed into the information, communication and technology and healthcare sectors. According to East Africa Trade and Investment Report, a total foreign direct investment flow into the region totaled 1.2 trillion shillings in 2019.
According to the report, all the 6 East African community countries, except Tanzania, posted increased inflows in 2019, where inflows to Dar es Salaam declined by 16% to 270 billion shillings in 2019 from 320 billion shillings in 2018. The report attributes these to political uncertainty occasioned by the general elections that were held last month. The report shows that China was the largest investor in 2019, accounting for 59.7% of the total FDI inflows into the region, with significant investment in manufacturing, construction and services. Kenya saw a total of 250 billion shillings worth of inflows, which created 16,574,000 jobs, accounting for 10.4% of total jobs created in the period. Among key investment projects was the construction of the Mombasa Road Elevated Expressway at a cost of 62 billion shillings. The number of jobs created due to FDI inflows into the region increased by 135% to 212,000 jobs in 2019 from 90,000 jobs in 2018. FDI to Uganda contributed 62,876,000 jobs, or 18.2% of total jobs created, while FDI into Tanzania created 46,765 jobs, accounting for 47.9% of the total jobs created in the country. Rwanda's total investment inflows increased 22.6%, reaching 250 billion shillings compared to 210 in 2018, mainly due to domestic investments. In Uganda, total investment inflows into the country increased by 22.2% to 140 billion shillings in 2019 from 110 billion shillings in 2018. O'Brien came in for Business News Hour.
And now the U.S. has ordered 9 tech companies, including Amazon, Facebook and TikTok, to hand over information as part of a new review of consumer privacy. The study is intended to help regulators understand what data the companies collect and how that information is used, especially to target children. The companies have 45 days to comply. Details of this and other stories in the Global Business Roundup.
The 4 commissioners supporting the move said it was alarming they still knew so little about companies that knew so much about them. Given how much companies rely on the organization and analysis of data as a core underpinning for their business models, it is expected that compliance with this order will be expeditious and comprehensive. Elsewhere, redundancies rose to a record high of 370,000 in the 3 months to October as unemployment continued to rise, official statistics show. The unemployment rate rose to 4.9% for the same period. And the European Union is set to unveil new rules it says will overhaul the digital market, including how tech giants operate. A pair of laws, the Digital Service and Digital Market Acts, will be announced later on Tuesday. They're expected to be the biggest revision in 20 years, focusing on competition and making platforms responsible for hosted content. They are also likely to create heavy fines for violation of the rules.
Very well, that's it from the business desk. We take a short break, but when we come back, we are looking at what's happening in the world of sports. Very well, let's now focus on what's happening in the sports news. And the government has announced plans to launch a digital content feature on Kenyan sports in 2021. Sports Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Amina Mohamed said the aim of creating the feature is to come up with an online sports museum that will showcase Kenya's rich history in athletics as well as other sporting disciplines. Amina was speaking during the 70th anniversary celebrations of Athletics Kenya at the Nyayo National Stadium here in the capital, Nairobi.
Sports Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Amina Mohamed announced that the online sports museum will give the country a platform to store its iconic moments in history of sports as well as celebrate the country's image, heritage and excellence.
It will celebrate the country's history, heritage and excellence across disciplines, across geography and communities. This project, which we intend to start early in 2021, will also give us a platform to store all the turning sporting moments in our history. Furthermore, it will highlight the superpowers of Kenya's athletes and show how sports can change lives and how iconic sports heroes are improving lives in their communities and pushing the known boundaries of athletic performance 1 second at a time.
Following the successful hosting of the World Athletics Continental Tour in Nairobi, the Sports CS announced that the government will fund next year's leg.
The inaugural Keep Keno Classic on the 3rd of October, where 30 nations were in attendance, the highest global appearance on this new circuit, demonstrates our government's focus on sports development and our projected future to brand Kenya as the sporting capital of Africa.
With the doping threatening to soil Kenya's hard-earned reputation globally, the sports CS warned those abating cheating, saying foreign coaches working underground to advance the vice will be deported, adding that an anti-doping amendment bill will be introduced in Parliament with stiffer penalties.
It is our duty to protect our national treasures, and we will spare no effort in this endeavor. The Anti-Doping Amendment Bill 2020, soon to be discussed in Parliament, in fact, if not this week, then next week, introduces additional measures to fight doping in our country.
Athletics Kenya chairman Jack Tuwei underscored the federation's future plan, saying they remain committed to fighting doping, improving the welfare of retired athletes and encouraging women leaders of the sport.
Going forward, we intend to continue the fight against doping, improve the welfare of active and retired athletes, and expand our Athletics Kenya headquarters. We also hope to maintain the athletes' database, streamline training camps, rules and regulations, and give more opportunities to women in both competitions and administration in line with the World Athletics Statutes and the Constitution of Kenya.
Legendary athlete Kipchoge Keino implored the county government to enhance talent development at the grassroots through construction of sports facilities.
And our counties, let us sit down and see facilities in the counties where we can be able to tap the talent in those areas. We have a lot. Our school doesn't have playing ground. Those are the things we need to plan and see where we can be having a swimming pool in one of our high schools, basketball, tennis court. Should not be only running, should be other sports so that we can be able to win more medals.
60 athletes who represented Kenya in various international competitions were awarded during the celebrations. Bernard Okumu, the sport at 9.
And now Sofapaka tactician John Baraza has stepped aside after leading Batoto Bamungu in just 3 games in the 2021-2020 Football Kenya Federation Premier League season. John Murori has been appointed on an interim basis after serving as Baraza's assistant since his arrival during the 2019-2020 season. Murori has been tasked to lead the team in preparations ahead of their next game against Kariobangi Sharks at their new home in Wundanyi, Taita Taveta County. In the last league game, Sofapaka lost 3-0 to AFC Leopards at Kasarani Stadium. And youths in Busia County are actively engaging in sports and in the process keeping them preoccupied in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. The move is playing a pivotal role in keeping them away from engaging in drug abuse and teenage pregnancies. Speaking in Nabatoto, location Samia Sub-County during a football tournament, Area Chief Lilian Wesonga said drug abuse and teenage pregnancies have reduced among the youths as they spend most of their time playing soccer to develop their talent. She stated that as the festive season approaches, more measures will be put in place to curb the vices.
Michezo hasa wakati huu wa COVID umetusaidia sana. Tumepata kujua ya kwamba watoto wengi kumbe wana talanta na kumbe tulikuwa tumewazuia nyumbani na hizi talanta zao. Kwa hivyo saizi wamekuza talanta zao na hata tumejua ya kwamba kuna watoto kumbe wana haja ya kufanya kitu lakini huwa tunawazuia. But wakati huu huu mchezo umewafanya ikawakeep busy sana. Sasa imewakeep busy hawa watoto wakitoka hapa wamechoka, mtu hawezi fikiria kwenda kufanya maneno mabaya ama kutafuta bangi mahali. At least it has kept these kids busy na kila mtoto amefurahia michezo.
Now, Raheem Sterling says Manchester City have not played to their usual standards, but is adamant the team will be back to their best soon. City will host West Brom tonight in one of the 2 English Premier League matches on card.
Manchester City are 9th in the Premier League with 19 points from 11 games, 6 points behind joint leaders Tottenham and Liverpool. At this stage last season, City had 25 points and had also scored 34 goals. In this campaign, Pep Guardiola's men have only managed to find the net 17 times in the league. Since Raheem Sterling joined City in 2015, the club have finished no lower than 4th. Meanwhile, West Brom will enter Tuesday's clash in Manchester off the back of a 2-1 defeat at Newcastle United on Saturday. Only Sheffield United, bottom with 1 point from 12 matches, have a worse record than West Brom this season, with Slaven Bilic's team currently 19th, having picked up just 6 points from their opening 12 matches. The Baggies have the worst defensive record in the Premier League this season, conceding 25 times, while their only win of the season was a 1-0 success over fellow stragglers Sheffield United on November 28. A trip to the Etihad Stadium is not what Bilic would have wanted following the late loss at Newcastle, but the matches do not get any easier after this one as they prepare to welcome Aston Villa next weekend before travelling to champions Liverpool on December 27.
Very well, it's time for us to put a cap on Channel 1 News Hour tonight. As always, thank you, Kenya, for watching. My name is Achieng. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Lucy Mwaura. It's time for us to focus on the day's weather with Yusuf Farah. But on behalf of the entire team, good night and God bless you.
Tonight, rainfall is expected in a few areas over the coastal region, and the same will be experienced in the highlands west. Dry weather conditions continue to dominate most parts of the country. Eldoret is the coldest, with temperatures dropping to 7 degrees Celsius. Good evening. My name is Yusuf Farah. Time now for your Channel 1 weather updates. Tomorrow morning, sunny intervals from the northeastern region, Mandera, Garissa and Isiolo, all the way to the Lake Turkana Basin and areas bordering Kenya and South Sudan. Malindi and Mombasa will be having showers accompanied by sunny intervals. In Lamu, however, there will be sunny intervals. In the afternoon, Kisumu will be having showers accompanied by thunderstorms. Remember to keep warm in that area. However, sunny intervals continue to dominate most parts of the country from the northeastern region all the way to the Lake Turkana Basin. Malindi and Mombasa continue to be having showers accompanied by sunny intervals. Taking a look at the temperatures now, Mandera highs of 36, lows of 21, Marsabit highs of 25 and lows of 18, and Nairobi highs of 26 and lows of 14. Well, on that note, I complete the local weather forecast. I leave you with the international weather forecast. Let's meet again tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Good night.
Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design and soft furnishing,